Good evening and welcome to Craig Goes Cycling, and tonight we're delving into a side of the sport of cycling that I don't really understand a great deal about, and that is triathlon. Now I'm here at Velo Bavarian because they are delving into the world of triathlon. They have got an open night tonight with several triathlon bikes in the shop which they're moving into selling, and they've got people coming along to do talks and from all aspects of triathlon. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and catch Luke, the owner of Velo Bavarian, and Matt, the shop manager, who himself is a triathlete, so he'll be able to explain a few more of the intricacies of the sport to us. So first of all, we're just going to have a little look around the shop, have a look at the bikes that they've got on display here, and then we'll catch the guys for a chat.
And when you fall apart like me, don't wait to call me out now. Take your time on me. Don't you fake it like me. I'll make the same without you there to blame. Call me a drag, call me cool, that's okay. I don't know anyone like you. Don't wait to tell me off now. Take your time on me. Don't you fake it like me.
Right, I'm with Matt Waterfield, who is shop manager here at Velo Bavarian, and Matt is someone who knows a lot more about triathlon than I ever will. You are an accomplished triathlete yourself, so I understand that there are several different types of triathlon.
Yeah.
So just briefly, can you give me a quick overview of the different types?
Yeah, for sure. So most people will be familiar with Olympic triathlon, which is where they'll be familiar with the brownies over the last sort of decade or so. The Olympic distance is also called the standard distance, and that's generally called short course triathlon. There's also a sprint distance, which is where most people will start their triathlon journey. So they're much shorter distances. A sprint race, in essence, is around an hour to an hour and 15 for a competent amateur.
Yeah.
So they're going to take something to an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 for a beginner. The standard distance, again, for an amateur is somewhere around 2 to 2.5 hours. So they're generally the starting point to triathlon, and those all triathlons are swim, bike and run in that order.
Yeah.
They're generally the best starting point, and they would be draft legal races where they will mostly be taken part with on road bikes for the professionals.
Okay, so so you say sprint is where most people would start off. What are the distances that you would do the swim, the bike and the run then?
Okay, so a sprint triathlon is 750 metre swim, 20k on the bike, and then 5k on the run. It's been a while, testing my memory.
Yeah.
So that would be a normal sprint distance triathlon. An Olympic or standard distance would be 1500 metre swim, 40k bike, and then a 10k run.
Right.
So there are amateur races would usually be non-draft, so you have to do it as an individual pursuit, an individual time trial in essence.
Yeah.
But the pros will race that. So if you've seen them on telly, the pros will race that as a draft legal event. So they'll swim in a pack, and then they'll jump on the bike, and you'll see them much like a crit race.
Yeah.
Slightly different tactics and dynamics, and then they'll jump onto the off the bikes into transition 2. And then they'll jump on and do a 5 or 10k run as fast as possible.
Okay, so when it comes to the drafting then, so on a non-draft race, what distance would you have to stay apart, and what's the rules on when you come to overtake, if you're overtaking someone?
Yeah, so the drafting rules vary by event organiser, to be fair. So somewhere between 12 and 20 metres, depending on the organising body, whether that's kind of a world triathlon race or an Ironman branded race, or even challenge or P2 race. They're all slightly different.
Yeah.
And there's slightly different drafting rules, but yeah, you generally have to stay outside of that draft zone. If you enter the draft zone, you then have to move through in a specific amount of time, and the person you pass then has to drop back.
Right, so when it comes to you as a triathlete, do you have a favourite type of triathlon? Are you an Ironman kind of guy, or are you the sprint, or what's your
so beyond the Olympics or the Brownie type of triathlon that most people are familiar with, then most people have heard of Ironman or Iron Distance Racing. Ironman is a brand, and then they also have a middle distance or half distance, which is also called the 70.3. So that's sort of like a half Ironman, and they've really kind of exploded in popularity. People sort of aspirationally want to complete an Ironman. It's like people want to do a marathon, and they see like we want to do an Ironman, sort of complete it, sort of like tick it off a bucket list. So my favourite would be the full Iron Distance.
Right, so you're pretty hardcore when it comes to triathlon then?
I enjoy the endurance challenge. So for myself as an okay amateur, I'm by no means at the top end. I'm sort of like top 10%. I'm in the region of just under 9.5 hours. So it's it's the longest.
That's one hell of that is a proper endurance event, isn't it? And then going back a little bit, you talked about some are on road bikes and some are triathlon bikes. So I know what I know road bikes, TT bikes, triathlon bikes. What a triathlon bike and a TT bike look relatively similar, but I'm going to guess that there are some quite noticeable differences when you actually get to look at them. Yeah, so
the main difference between triathlon and a TT bike is a TT bike is generally UCI legal, so they're bound by a set of regulations that the UCI will govern. So you'll see those in the Tour de France on the individual time trial stages, whereas triathlon bikes, they aren't governed by the same laws, so they can therefore be a little bit more creative with nutrition, storage, aerodynamics, less traditional shapes, and the position that you can get in is a little bit more conducive to running off the bike. You generally have a more open hip angle, which helps running off the bike. So there's some of the subtleties of the difference. But in essence, they come from the same starting point.
Okay, and if somebody is watching this video and thinks, do you know what, that sounds like fun, how do you get into triathlon then?
So there's a huge amount of information there, and it can seem quite daunting. I think one of the great things about triathlon is how inclusive it is. There's so many local great clubs, even from like a stone's throw from this building. I can name 4 triathlon clubs which are really inclusive. A lot of people feel the boundary to getting into triathlon is swimming. It's a natural thing that, especially if you're a little bit older and you haven't swam. So look up a local triathlon club. From here you've got Derby Triathlon Club, Belper 1020, Nottingham Triathlon Club. There's loads of great resources that you'll be able to Google and find. From there's lots of races that you can get involved with. If you check out British Triathlon, they have an event finder on their webpage, which will give you an insight. And my one advice to people is don't feel the need to rush straight in to do Ironman and get all this fancy equipment. You can quite happily do a sprint distance triathlon for a more affordable price point on any bike that you've got. There's a little bit of specific kit like tri-suits and certain little bits and pieces, but you don't need to spend fortunes, you don't need a fancy bike. All you need to do is have that will to want to try something new, give it a go. And over the years I've been doing this, I've met so many amazing friends and had so many amazing experiences, which for me is the main thing for it. And obviously tonight we're having a community night. For me is here, I hope to bring together loads of people that I know and met over the last 10 to 12 years, and hopefully take what I've gained in experience and then be able to show that to more people and get more people involved in the sport that I think is life enriching.
Good. Well, it's a sport that I've viewed from the outside. It's a sport that I wouldn't mind having a go at, but A, I'm rubbish at swimming, and B, I've got no ACL in my left knee and I've got osteoarthritis in both knees. So I think I'll leave that to the rest of you. But
never say never.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time out to chat to me tonight, because I know it's going to be busy here. Thank you very much, Matt.
Cheers. Mate. Thanks so much. Cheers, mate.
Hold me the same without you there too.
I'm here with Luke after tonight's triathlon event here at Velo Bavarian. Luke, how's the night gone for you? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. It's been great to see other people enjoying it. You never know how these things are going to go, so it's been good to see people smiling, chatting, and stay until the end, which is great.
Yeah, so when it comes to triathlon, then, how much involvement have you had in triathlon over the years, or are you completely new to it now?
I'm the newest in the room to triathlon. Like, I know probably the least out of anybody here.
Yeah.
I'm sort of learning, sort of leaving it to Matt and Jimmy. Obviously, they're the experts.
Yes.
It's their passion and what they've done for probably most of their lives. So it's great to have those two on board, and it made sense for us to go down this avenue with them and their expertise. And yeah, it's obviously a great sport. Multi-sport. Ties into cycling so well, and it's very popular, so yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, well, the shop's been here for a year now, and you've had Velo Bavarian for what, 4 or 5 years before that? Something
5
like
years
that?
in May this year.
5 years in May this year. So you've progressed the shop from where it was back down in Duffield to the small shop that you were to this place to here now in Milford, which is I've always said I love this place. I think it's fantastic. The move to sort of triathlon now, selling triathlon bikes and looking to that, is that something that was it planned, or has it been quite an organic, just sort of, it felt like the natural next step?
I think it's been in the plans since Matt came on board, nearly 2 years ago. It's always been a conversation that we've had, but it has happened organically with the growth of the shop and the growth of our audience and our community, and the crossover between cyclists that we know coming in the shop and racing for us, and joining our social rides, also doing triathlon and multisport. It made sense for us to then try and offer our support on that front as well, with the team and obviously with Matt's expertise and Jimmy's expertise, and then our brands that we work with also do triathlon bikes. So it was organic, but it just made sense.
Yeah. Is it something that you think you could sort of get into yourself?
No.
Why would you not give it a go? I mean, for me, I've said before, I'm rubbish at swimming and I've got arthritis in my knees.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my excuses are similar, and I'm not saying the excuses, but everyone has reasons not to do something, and I say to people, if you have one reason to do something, you should do it. But I've got a lot of reasons that I don't want to do it. I'm sticking to it.
Well, I mean, okay, so we'll roll it back a little bit then. You've started a few months ago, you started the Wednesday night run club.
Yeah.
Was that with triathlon in mind, of where the shop was going to branch out a little bit, and that was it almost like put feelers out to see who might be interested in other things?
Yeah, it was, but running is such a growing sport on its own, and we've spoke about before tonight that it's such an accessible sport, running, because it is just a pair of trainers or whatever shoes you've got kicking about, you can do it in. Cycling is a bit more tricky, but running is really growing in popularity. It's there's loads of influencers doing it now, and everybody's signed up for marathons, and it's a new bit of a trend to be healthy and to run and to be fit, which is great. Like, obviously the world goes through trends, and sometimes it might, a few years ago it was bodybuilding, then it was CrossFit, and then sometimes it's been golf. Everyone gets into golf, and now it seems to be everyone's getting into running. So it made sense for us to do the run club, knowing what we were going to do down the line, and knowing that sort of our natural growth has led to where we are now.
So you've got the cycle club side of things, where you do the group rides, that you're doing gravel rides now. There's women only rides, and then there's member only rides. There's people like myself who are in the race team as well. Are you going down that route with triathlon as well? Are you looking to open a triathlon racing side of VB as well? Yeah,
so the triathlon squad sort of has already sort of been launched. The season starts a little bit later, so there's been a little bit less noise about it. But there is already people signed up to race for their triathlons in VB kit, which is great. Similar things to the cycling club. It's it will have its own mini community within the community. Obviously we've got the lads that are racing, and obviously the ladies racing. They have their WhatsApp, and talk about the racing and the plans of sometimes travelling together and lift share and things like that. And the triathlon side of it will have that as well. So Matt will be leading that with sessions, structured sessions that we do, such as the Darley Moor stuff. So we're obviously just trying to grow as a club and offer more as a business to anybody who wants to come and get involved. And it's time consuming, but it's a good thing to spend. If you get a quiet half hour at the shop, what do we do? Well, what can we do? What can we plan? What can we make happen for our riders and what do people want?
Yeah.
And we really try and think about that.
And you just said there it's time consuming. How are you finding yourself managing your time running this shop, and then with the race team and the club rides and now the triathlon? How are you finding that, sort of juggling it all and finding personal time as well?
I'm obviously very lucky to be in the position that I'm in, and and personally with the commitments that I've got, I don't have loads, of outside of work, so I can put my own personal time into planning this, which is great, and I enjoy it. It's been a bit of a balancing act, so my own training's taken a little bit of a back seat, which is is hard for everybody because everybody has ideals of where they want to be, how fit they want to be, and aspirational targets. And training makes you feel great, doesn't it? So especially when you're hitting your numbers and you're feeling good. So that's been hard, but I think in the long run, I like that I'm in a position where I can give back to. I'm in the position of I can make things happen, and this shop is a platform, and the audience we've got and the customer base is a platform for me to give back and to be able to put these events on, because it's easier for me because of how many people I know who would be interested than it would be for somebody to start from scratch and start trying to run a team and run it. So I feel like I'm in a privileged position, and I feel like I am in a position where I should do it. I should do what I'm doing, and I should try and make as much happen as I can. And that's because if I wasn't in my position, I might have said this to you before, if I wasn't in my position, I would look at this and think, oh, I wish I could do something like that. I wish I could get involved in something like that and be a part of a club or a team or whatever it might be. So, I've got the opportunity to do it, so I very much think I should. And Matt's, come on board last couple of years and grown really into his role of helping me with running the club. And to have two people sing off the same hymn sheet has been... It's
got to work, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's why we've been able to grow, because I could only take it so far. And Matt is equally as passionate, and we genuinely do want people to come into the shop and say to us, how can you help me ride my bike more, enjoy it, or I want to race, or I want to get involved in social rides, or is there any local rides I can get involved? We want people to come in and say to us, where do I start? And we go, right, this is where you start. You don't need to buy a bike, you don't need to do anything. Come on one of our rides and meet people and go from there. And that's why we put the effort in.
I think as well, what I think may help you as well is the fact that whatever you've done with the shop, none of it's felt forced. It's all felt as though it has grown, it's just been a natural progression, and you haven't. It's not as though you've looked and I've got to get in on this, I've got to do this. Because I think if you start chasing things, it doesn't always work. But if you do it naturally, organically, your passion and your drive and your interest in that makes it work, and then maybe it doesn't feel as much like work to you. Would you
I
agree with that
agree. I
at all,
agree. I enjoy planning things. I enjoy planning social rides. I enjoy when it all comes together and it works. It's a challenge to make something like this happen. And when it does come off, and at the end of the day, we put this event on, we're not anticipating selling 10 bikes and going and spraying champagne and you know what I mean, like we're not here to just to make money. We're a business, but a success for us is people come, they get involved, they have a good time, and then they go away and go, wow, like Velo Bavarian is a great community-based business, and when I'm ready for something that I can buy from them, then I'll go to them. It's not all about making money for us, and if it was, like you say, it would be forced, it would be obvious. We both feel like we're in privileged positions, me and Matt, that we can put things on for people, and it takes time. We're here in our personal time, and we put things on in our personal time, and the reward we get is just people coming together and going, wow, that was good. So that's it's rewarding.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me at the end of a busy day and a busy evening. I'll drop the link to the Velo Bavarian website and their Instagram in the link below. So if you are interested in getting involved in cycling, I know there's a few people have said they've watched some of these videos and thought they'd quite like to get into cycling. So here's a chance. If you're in relatively local to Derby, I'll drop the link to Velo Bavarian. So if you can hit me the like on this video, subscribe to my channel as well, head over onto Instagram, give these guys a follow. If you need a bite, come and have a chat. If you just want to come and have a chat and a coffee, Luke will be always happy to do that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and when you're out there on your bikes, please ride safe, take care, and always get home in one piece.
Thanks for watching Match of the Day.
Cheers.
I feel like Gary Lineker.